about the future that I want to talk about in a minute. So I'm not suggesting for a minute that all of you are going to do this, but some of you may do this and some of you may find it really interesting. And I just want you at least to know how to do it, right? So the idea is this, that our clients come to us and we assess them, you know, we do our information gathering, we've got the measures we use that are filled in with them. But, and you probably automatically do this anyway in the nature of the way you work, is to identify, well, you know, John, you're coming to see me today. Hopefully you're going to come and, you know, see me over the next 6 sessions. What are the most important things you need to see change? This is my type of language. What are the most important things you need to see change taking place on, so you know the work we're doing together is helping? That's my typical sentence. You'll have your own, right? And I'm sure you all do varieties of this. Now, John says, Bill, if only I could sleep. You say, great, to sleep better, goal, right? So John, note to 10, where is that at the moment? If note is as bad as it could possibly be, 10 is solved, achieved. Where are you? I'm 2. Jot it down in the session, right? This is your first session. No, it may not be your first session, by the way. It might be your 3rd session before you actually get on to identifying goals, right? But because maybe at the first session, they're so upset or you're so busy with so much else that you actually, you're just at like, I just got to help this person calm down. And maybe it's not until session 2, 3, 4 even before you identify, get to the point of saying, well, now we've got you calmed down. Now you're sleeping better. What are the things you want to achieve, right? So it could be at any particular session. But the point is, in that session, you identify a goal, and I'm just going to take a simple one, to sleep better, right? Now, you might go on and say, great, John, now what else is there? What else is there on this wish list of yours? And it might be, you know, I don't know, to rebuild my relationship with my son, or whatever it might be. Where are you on that note to 10? 1. Great. John leaves the session. How do you get this information into Pragmatic Tracker? And this is the bit I really want to clarify, because it has caused some confusion. I've made endless videos about this to try to explain it, but if I've got you live here, I've got the chance to explain it now, right? So client has left, let's say that session on the 8th of August, pretend, right? And they'd filled in all their measures, and I want to capture those goals related to that session, right? Now, what are the steps? The first thing is, unless this is ticked, just like with Jim and the feedback measure, unless the goals is ticked, you can't record goals. So the first step is to make sure in that session record that you want the goals recorded in, that this is ticked. Okay, step number 1. Step number 2, when I go, at the moment, when I look in here, oh, the goals are there because I'd already built one. Anyway, forget about that. I'd already built one last night, I guess. I tell you what, it doesn't matter, right? So pretend that first goal isn't there, right? Click to add new goal. Now, here's the thing. What will often happen is that you're writing notes up possibly the next day, or maybe 2 days later, because you've got busy, right? So, you know, you just haven't got around. Maybe you saw the client at 6 o'clock in the evening, you're starving, hungry, you go home and you think, I'll write those notes up tomorrow. You go in to write the notes tomorrow, and what happens in Pragmatic Tracker is this date will always default to the day that you're actually in, right? But you have to change that date in order for the goal to appear to be the same as the session that you're associating it with, right? So let me go back again. In fact, let me go to this goals here and get rid of that goal for a second, right, and make it more obvious, right? So I'm in, let's hallucinate. I saw the client on the 8th of August. They filled in their measures, and I've identified goals. The client leaves. It was the 9th of August, the next day. For example, I was filling in the measure. I must change that date to the 8th of August. It must be matching the date of the session. Because if it isn't, it won't be associated with it. I haven't, so to sleep better. Oops, sorry. Sleep better. Sleep through the night. Now, what's important to understand also about the language that you write in here, this is the client's language. It's not your interpretation of the client. It should be the client's words, right? Because when they come to, what you're doing is you're building a measure which the client is going to then be presented with to score at the next time, like, if you decide to have them measure it the next time. So it should be their words, not your interpretation. It shouldn't be in here, client would like to sleep better, because what they're going to read is that. Whatever you write in here, they will read, right? So you make that go there, the 8th of August, save, and when you go back to the session record on the 8th of August, hold on, where are we? 8th of August. It should appear. What have I done? 8th. Oh, there we are. Sleep better, right? So the goal will be there for you to score. There we are. Sleep better. There's the goal, right? So the goal is now presenting for you to score. Now, it's only this very first time you've identified a goal, you have to score it yourself in that session, right? Because you've had the discussion with the client in the session. But obviously, what you've now done is created a new item. And if you had 4 goals, you'll have 4 sleep, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 showing up here. And those are there for the client to score at subsequent appointments. Does that make sense? Am I getting there with this? Let me just turn off my screen share so I can see the whites of your eyes. Right. Everybody okay? Is that making sense? Okay, so 2 things. You must have goals selected in the session that you want to record the goals in. You must make the date of the date the goal is reported the same as that session that you're wanting to measure it in, right? Then you can add in. Now, what I'm going to do for 1 second is jump across to the demo system, because I want to show you what this looks like. Demo 3. Oops, damn. Just bear with me 1 second. Password, copy. Demo 3. Bill. Oops. More haste, less speed, Bill. Right. Right. And then find this client here. That example 2. Right. Good. So I'm just jumping over to a demo system to give you an idea of what this can sort of look like. Am I in the right one? Right. Okay, so you've got Pat example 2 here, right? Now, this is actually showing you problems and goals. The reason we have goals and problems is because it might be that the language that the client is using is not really a goals sort of language. It may be that it's more comfortable identifying the problems they want to see a reduction in. And in fact, it could be the case where early in treatment, you're talking more about the reduction of the problems, but then you move towards emphasis on the goals. And they work in both. They work in basically the same way. So whatever I'm saying for goals applies to problems as well. Obviously, with problems, you score it the opposite way around. 10 is the worst it could be. 0 is the best it could be. Where a goal, 0 is the worst it could be. 10 is the best it could be. Now, in here, I've put examples of both of these in. Poor sleep, anxious, angry with partner, goals, exercise more, meditate, join a book club. Now,
Neil, can I just ask you a question?
yes.
I'm just aware of the scoring. Is 10 always the worst, or is 10 the best? And are we all sticking to the same one?
Right. Great question. 10 is when you're achieving a goal, you're moving towards the goal. So 10 is the best you could be. When you're trying to manage the reduction of symptoms or a problem, you're trying to bring it down from 10 to 0. So it's the opposite way around. So the scoring for goals goes up, the scoring for problems comes down with improvement, right? So it's 0 to 10 or 10 to 0, depending on which one you use. Now, my suspicion is most of you will be comfortable, more likely, with working with goals as opposed to problems, you know, but that's completely fine. I just want you to be aware of what is in here in Pragmatic Tracker, right? Now, I want to go to charts because this gives me the opportunity to show you, and you know, if you've attended some of the other training I've done, you'll know about this, but the charts has really been improved considerably. You've far more control now. So over here, you've got the control, right? So I can switch them all off. There's nothing showing. Now, I just want to go to goals. Now, here we have what used to be on the old system, the aggregate score of all the goals. So even if you'd 8 goals, they will be aggregated into one average score, right? Now, what you've got is the individual goals are there with their own little chart, right? And in fact, you could look at all of those individual goals without looking at the aggregate score. So there's 3 goals here, and you're seeing the change on those goals relative to each other. And you want to know what are those goals. Just click on a scoring point and it all drops down below. And what we've also added in here, time for a sip of water, is that not alone do you see the score at this particular scoring point on this session, you also see what each score was the first time it was scored and the time before this time. Now, this was a request by human givens practitioners. Some human givens practitioners said, I love the chart, but what would be really helpful in my discussion with the client is item by item to look at the change. So like, for example, if we were on core 10, sorry, let's go to core 10, same thing. Item by item now, you can see the change on the individual items. So it might have been, you know, look at this, I felt able to cope when things went wrong. Not at all, scoring 4 very badly, but that has improved. So this is your conversation page, if you like. And you know, the aspiration here would be that you're using this page, this screen with your client to engage in discussion with them and really pull out the richness of the story that their measures are actually telling them in here, you know. So I wanted to point that out, that like with goals, you can see the aggregate of all of the goals, but you can also see the individual goal. Now, another point about goals though is that, you know, let's say you've identified 4 goals with somebody and you're measuring them session by session, but they achieve one of the goals. They're sleeping better. Well, you don't want to keep pestering them, asking them time after time, Bill, I've already achieved that bloody thing. Stop hassling me, asking me about it every week. So what you do is you switch it off. So how you do that is you just click on the goal and you've got an active or inactive button here. So basically, if you switch it off, it will drop it out as an item out of the goals questionnaire. So the next time they're presented with the measure, with the goals measure, that item, they won't be asked about it. It's still retained in Pragmatic Tracker, of course. It's still there to show them on the chart and all the rest of it, what they've achieved with it. But it's just you don't keep pestering them, asking them about it. Does that make sense? So to get to that, any goal there, you can see join book club. Oh, I want that to be active. There we go. Save, and it's now active. Meditate has been achieved. I can deactivate it like that, right? How are we doing? All good? What do you think of this?
Great.
Good.